Pylon listeners, we are back after week 9 of the NFL season. Recording this at 8:30 on November 8th on Sunday night after all the NFC North games have wrapped up. There's some good and some bad to talk about with two teams winning and two teams losing in the division here. But before we get into that, I'm Big Z representing the Detroit Lions. Let's go around to the rest of the Pylon crew. So we got Remy representing the Vikings.
Greetings and salutations, Vikings fans.
Kinger representing the Packers.
As always, good to be back with you, gentlemen. Go Pack.
And then last but not least, sharing in misery with me this weekend is Barney representing the Bears.
Fellas, I hope to God Nagy didn't get let back on that bus today. Good to be back, though.
There's a lot to talk about here, but the last we recorded was Wednesday night, so we didn't get to talk about the Packers game yet, so we're going to lead off with that. Kinger, the Packers just dominating a depleted 49ers team like they should. Aaron Rodgers, 305 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did anything go wrong in this game, or just everything go right, and was this just a product? And also, was this a product of being the 49ers being bad, or the Packers actually stepping up and improving?
I feel like this game was ages ago, boys. It feels like it's been just so long between the last time the Packers played, just a long weekend. But I think the Packers they took care of business, right? We kind of knew going into this game from a high-level view. This was the expectation. The Packers were supposed to dominate, show that they were the better team. The 49ers just absolutely depleted. And again, Green Bay had a very solid night overall. I said it last week on the podcast. This was one of those weeks, one of those games where, the expectation was for them to win. So you can't really take too much out of this game, I think. I think we saw a lot of great individual performances, a lot of good things, but overall as a high level, we still have a lot we have to evaluate around this Packers team and how good are they. But this week they looked great, and they did what they were supposed to do against the 49ers and came out with a big win.
Yeah, look at I had one question for you. It was kind of controversial about why was Aaron Jones getting carries so late in this game when we know that he's dealing with a calf injury?
I think that maybe goes to show was Matt LaFleur really being 100% honest with where Aaron Jones was at, and were they going to limit him or not, right? I mean, he comes out on the first drive and he gets, I think, 90% of the touches on the first drive. I think Devontae had one catch, but other than that, he just comes out firing, and they proceeded to, give him a consistent touches throughout the game. A little bit, they reduced that a little bit in the middle, but even at the end, to answer your question, I still think they're just not comfortable, or they weren't comfortable, or very comfortable with where he was at health-wise, and I'm not really going to question that. But yeah, it was good to see him back there. You really forget how dynamic of a player he is. Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon were obviously very suitable. Jamal's everything you can ask for in a number 2 back. He's a good hard runner, loves the contact, good blocker, has the ability to catch out of the backfield. But Aaron Jones is a different level player, and he's just so dynamic with his vision. And it was really refreshing and nice to see him back in the offense. And he looks good to go, especially now coming up with this 10 days rest that they're going to be coming off of. Very happy with how he looks and confident going forward.
So, Barney, did you get a chance to watch this Thursday night game? And I just wanted to get your impression on the Packers and just if you think the Bears have any chance to catch up to them in this division. Because as the standings lay out right now, Packers 6-2, Bears 5-4, Vikings and Lions both 3-5. The Packers are slowly running away with this division, possibly.
To answer your question, I mean the Packers are doing what they need to do to take care of business. I watched the game. It was one of those games that I think every football fan was excited about, weeks ago, seeing that ahead on schedule. But, the Packers have had struggles when they travel to California. That's noted. But you would have had to be an idiot to think that Kyle Shanahan could muster up a really, really competitive game versus a guy like Aaron Rodgers, when all of his chips were down. But for the Bears trying to catch them, dude, a lot of things got to happen for us to be even considered in contention for the North, let alone playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kinger, you got to like your matchup next week against the Jaguars. Then besides playing the Bears twice and the Lions once, you have the remaining schedule is the Panthers, Eagles, Panthers, Eagles, and Titans, and the Colts in there. So pretty manageable schedule down the way here to at least get a 2 seed. But the Packers are really aiming for that 1 seed, especially. How do you feel about the Packers getting a 1 seed possibly, especially with the Seahawks losing to Buffalo today?
Yeah, this was a great week in regards to just overall helping the Packers when it comes to seeding for the playoffs. As you mentioned, Seattle lost, Chicago lost again. And then you take a look at either Tampa Bay. Well, it's looking like Tampa Bay is probably going to lose again tonight, down 28-0 New Orleans right now. But
they look
so it's looking like and I was rooting for that in that game too with the tiebreaker over the Saints. So you got to feel confident. And like you said, I mean, the schedule does look favorable, but there's a lot of competitive teams out there. I'm not going to sleep on the Colts. The Panthers today showed that they can compete. Gave the Chiefs a little bit of a run there in that game today. So it is what it is. And like I said, we were having conversations last week around this defense and where it stood and, how confident was I in them. And, they played well this week, but again, I don't want to take too much out of this one game. And I still think that that's something that's going to have to be answered. And the Packers really are going to still have to show that on a consistent basis, they can do well. Or play well, and there's still a lot to be determined in that specific area. But it was a good week for Green Bay overall.
And I don't know about you guys, but I had the over in that Green Bay game, so I want to thank Green Bay defense for allowing a touchdown with 1 second left to get that over in that game. Thank you.
Quietly, I'm going to give a shout out to Richie James out there. 9 for 184 and a touchdown. He really was a lone bright spot on that offense the other night with, literally no receiver suiting up for them that anybody really knew out there. So good for him. Shanahan really had his hands full with what he had to deal with for that game last Thursday.
I know, man. I picked up Trent Taylor. Already he was supposed to be the number 1 wide receiver going this game, and then he gets 1 catch for 9 yards, and that guy goes off. Richie James goes off for 184 and a touchdown. How about Devontae Adams? Again, 10 catches on 12 targets, 173 yards and a touchdown. Even Marquez Valdez-Scantling catching touchdowns this time, Kinger. That's got to make you feel good. The ball going in his hands and staying there.
So Devontae's a conversation we're just going to continue to have every week, boys, because we all know how good he is. He is top 5 in the league, and what he has the ability to do week in and week out, his connection with Rodgers, it's something special, and he is so much fun to watch out there. But Marquez Valdez-Scantling, man, I love that guy. His peaks, he's got so high peaks and such low valleys. It's so frustrating to watch him. If you go back to that game, he drops a critical 3rd down pass early in that. And critical is probably a little overused there, but he drops a 3rd down pass on a little short crossing route early in the game. Everybody on Packers Twitter is going nuts. Why is he still out there? And he comes back and, makes 2 big impact plays, 2 big catches later in the game. And so it's just, he's a physical specimen, absolute beast, off the charts when it comes to that. But, that's just kind of what we've come to accept with him in Green Bay. Luckily, he came back, made a couple big plays. But it'll be definitely nice to have Lazard back hopefully next week and have him settle back into that number 3 role.
Yeah, Scanlon kind of reminds me of Ebron at least, like a guy that gets open but can't catch the ball when he's open.
Exactly, and I mean, like I said, it's what you come to expect with him. But I still believe in him, and I do think he is a valuable asset because he does have the very high potential. I believe in. So you just got to kind of accept it, and hopefully he minimizes those mistakes going forward.
All right, so the Packers moved to 6-2, and like you said, big help with the Seahawks losing. Tampa looks like you're getting killed, but that means the Saints are going to be the next 2-loss team you got to worry about as well in the running.
Absolutely, we got that tiebreaker though from the win earlier in the season, so that's okay with us how this is shaping up right now.
Indeed. All right, so let's move on to the next NFC North game, and that involves 2 teams here. One being my miserable, awful trash team. And the other, a team on the rise. Now, both our teams have the same record now, Remy, but yours seems to be trending in the positive direction. My team, not so much. But I'll let you go first. This is definitely the Vikings game. So take it away. I'm sure you got some things to say about Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, so I'm going to mirror what Kinger said. Along with Devontae Adams, we're going to be talking about Dalvin Cook every week here on the podcast. 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. The dude is the best running back in the league this year.
858 yards we just calculated tonight, so he's leading the league in rushing now.
And it's leaning on the run. If you can't stop the run, you will not beat Minnesota. And it's Kirk. Kirk only had 20 attempts tonight, but he was efficient. He was 13 of 20, 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over. And then it's our defense stepping up, making big plays. I know we had a couple good run stops, and it's those young guys on the D line that stepped up. Jaleel Johnson stepped up, which is good to see, and Jeff Gladney had a great game too.
I hate Eric Kendricks.
He's so good. Eric Kendricks.
Because he's good.
Eric Kendricks and Eric Wilson, both those picks back to back were just phenomenal.
I knew Everson Griffin wasn't going to do nothing in this game. It was all written in the zones, like talking up a huge trash, like talking trash all week about how great he was going to be, and then he barely appeared in this game.
And you look at the Vikings record at 3-5, and it's like, if it's and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. But you look at this Vikings team at 3-5, and you look at the Tennessee game where they lost by 1, and the Seahawks game by 1, and those are potentially 2 more victories. So I mean, we could, there's sparks of good in this Viking team. I think we do need to pretty much win out. Looking at our upcoming schedule, we got the Bears, which is huge on Monday night. Good thing about that is we get extra day of rest. So we got the Bears Monday night, and then we got the Cowboys, and then the Panthers, Jaguars. So those stretchy games, we got to at least win, 3 out of 4 of them at least, or at least just, I don't know. I think Minnesota finally has established an identity, and if Dalvin can keep being Dalvin, it's going to be really hard to beat this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
let's talk about Irv Smith Jr., 2-touchdown Irv, the 2nd round tight end out of Alabama.
Can I caution your optimism here, Remy, for a little bit, just because this is the Lions that you just defeated, and my team's defense is just so fucking bad.
Hey, but we're coming off
terrible.
But we are coming off a Green Bay win. And
that's true. I'll give you that one. I'm just trying to,
and now
trying to put in realistic
I got
terms
my
right here.
checklist.
Big Z, you might be able to confirm this, but I think I saw today that this was the most rush yards given up from the Lions in a game since like 2009 or something like that.
I haven't seen that stat, but it wouldn't surprise me. Every record's been broken in the Patricia era with his defense, it seems. Especially completion percentage for quarterbacks. That one I know is there's been a lot of records broken, and like the fact that Mitch Trubisky has owned the Lions in his starts should say all you need to. That should be enough to be said for the Lions' defense performance the last 3 years. This is just another example. I know Trey Flowers is hurt, but that's not an excuse. I mean, you're giving up 200-plus yards. Dalvin Cook looks great. I'm not going to deny that, Remy. There's holes just you could drive semi-trucks through in this game. I need to go back and look at the tape, but my God, it's bad. And then, if at least in the end of the first half, the Vikings get the ball with a little over a minute, like a minute 7 or something like that. They hand the ball off a couple times and then just wide open guys down the field. Nobody within 10 yards. The amount of separation that teams can create against our defense is ridiculous. I wish I had the stats, like next-gen stats, to pull up to see the amount of separation teams get on completed receptions for our team compared to the rest of the league. I bet it is absolutely up there. It is. The defense is so unimaginative. I would throw 9 guys in the box. Stop the run first. Let Kirk Cousins beat us. It was barely a factor. Kirk Cousins, every throw he's completing is like a screen to Dalvin Cook or a short tight end pass.
He gets it done.
I don't get it. It's really getting to the edge here. I think just because of the way the Lions operate, Matt Patricia will last the season, but he won't last beyond the season. I've tried to be optimistic as much as possible, but I mean, he can't beat anybody in NFC North. Everybody knows what they're going to do. and people are just wide open constantly. There's no imagination. And then on offense now, Stafford's throwing 2 interceptions in the red zone. We blocked 2 punts in this game. I think it's been like 15 years in the NFL since 2 blocks, punts in one game or something like that. Something crazy. And we still lost by double digits, and it wasn't even close. Oh, it's just so frustrating to watch
the
this
moral
team.
victories.
Well, we had a moral victory. I think we stopped the Vikings on a 4th down, so I chalked that up as a moral victory in the moral victory column today. But Stafford, 23 of 32, 211, 2 interceptions against this horseshit secondary that the Vikings have.
Hey,
it's
now.
bad. You know it's bad. You've said as much.
That horseshit secondary just shut down Aaron Rodgers and Stafford back-to-back weeks.
All right, those 30-mile-per-hour winds you're playing in there. So
adversity, baby.
And actually, Aaron Rodgers actually had a pretty decent game that game. It was
he
more
did
the
have a
fact
good
that he
game.
didn't have the ball game. But we're not debating last week's game. We're debating this one, and just
in which the Vikings have prevailed.
I'm trying to take you off your high horse
victorious.
a little bit by saying my team is bad. So it's a weird argument that we're having. It's all in your favor, nonetheless. And I'm bringing my team down, but it's true. A game like today really makes you also question as well. And I really hate to say it, but Matt Stafford's future with the Lions, it's already been up for debate in Lions fan circles the past couple of years because, as everybody knows, the Lions haven't won a playoff game since 1992. It's no secret. Matt Stafford's been here 10-plus years now. Sometimes, even if the guy's good and it's not always him, something's got to change eventually. So even if Stafford is here next year, this team is absolutely trending to picking a quarterback in the first round. There's at least 3 good quarterbacks: Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance. I know, Barney, your team's probably going to draft one of those guys. It seems to be trending that way. You disagree?
Yeah, I think that would just be an awful move.
What? Why?
What are we gonna do? Trot him out there without the line? I'll get into it later, but we need to.
I can't wait to hear
invest. That, yeah. We need to invest in a line
All
before
right.
we
All right, well,
just
can't wait
grab
to hear
a
that.
fucking quarterback.
Well, all right, we'll get into that in a second. Just but
yeah,
I
dumb fucking move.
The Lions' offensive play calling in this was extremely frustrating. They continue to hand the ball off to one of the slowest running backs in the league, Adrian Peterson. The guy's way past his prime. I'm sorry, I don't know what the Lions are looking at him. He had 8 carries today for 29 yards, 3.6. DeAndre Swift, 4.9 for 13 carries. DeAndre Swift clearly looks like the better player. He dropped another pass today. Amendola dropped another pass. The only highlight from this game, I guess, is that T.J. Hockenson caught a touchdown to stay even with Jimmy Graham. Barney
looked a little like it was a push off, but we can talk about that later.
Hey, a touchdown's a touchdown, all right? They made the call.
I will not argue that.
Look at Remy. Look at Remy calling push-offs in a game that he won by double digits.
Yeah, and don't be talking about push-offs. That's how you won the playoff game against the Saints last year.
No.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Remy, you got to be pumped for next Monday night, right? You're playing the Bears. That's a big game. That's if the Vikings are going to stay in it, they got to win that.
Like I said, I got my checklist. We got the Packers. We got the Lions. Barney, I'm coming for you, dog. And then it's just going to be a clean sweep, and the Vikings are going to be rising, and the rest of the NFC North will be falling.
I mean,
great day, Viking fans. Enjoy this feeling right now because we've won 2 in a row. Dalvin looks great. Jefferson looks great. Kirk doesn't look too bad in 2 games. So enjoy this victory, but prepare for the real test coming up Monday.
Absolutely. So, the Lions, they play the Redskins next week. That's great for us. Maybe we win that, but that's a team we should beat. Last year, that was a team we should beat, and we didn't. But there's a lot more explaining to do, and it's the same thing. We got to coach better. We got to execute better, blah, blah, blah. Patricia, I'm trying. I try to be the optimistic Lions fan, but it's impossible now. We've seen it over and over again, especially against the better teams. And if I hate Patricia made the comment a couple weeks ago, like when somebody is questioning his play calling, he said, well, especially his defensive play calling, and he said, Well, you can't question me because I know what I'm capable of. I called one of the best defensive play calls in Super Bowl history. He got lucky. The Seahawks should have ran the ball at the goal line, but he played it for a pass. But that's what he's basing his whole expertise off of. The problem with the Lions is that they hired the wrong defensive Patriots coach. Look at Brian Flores in Miami. That looks like it's working out pretty well. And look at what happened in the Super Bowl. The Patriots Super Bowl against the Eagles was Patricia's last year there. And then look what Brian Flores did against the Rams in the Super Bowl. That huge difference. Huge difference. But we can be here for a while talking about the future. It'll happen when it happens, I guess. That's my Lions rant, at least. Remy, I'll give you a last word about the Vikings here before we talk about another team that's probably just as frustrating for the fans.
I haven't seen any thing with the injury report, but I mean, assuming everybody made it out okay, I'm Viking fans really anxious to see what we can do if Cam Dancer can come back and some of our top corners because if we're winning games with our third, fourth, fifth string corner, so keep the faith and let's keep getting dubs, Vikes. Let's go.
Oh, and on the injury front, just Matt Stafford left this game under concussion protocol, but he was cleared, so he has no concussion. He'll be ready for next week. But let's go to the last game to discuss in the NFC North here. Barney, it looks like more of the same for you, at least from the offensive side, right? Even though Nick Foles threw 335 yards and 2 touchdowns. So is that a misleading stat line in case there's Bears fans out there that decided they don't want to watch this team anymore but want to check in?
Very misleading. Very misleading.
I mean, go through it here.
Yeah. Well, Kinger hit on it. He said that, his Thursday night game seemed like it was a month ago or something like that. This entire week, given, the election and everything, there's just this week felt like it was a year long. We got red yelling at blue, blue yelling at red, and Chicago comes in trying to unite everybody behind one cause, and that is our universal distaste and hate for our lack of production coming from our head coach. Pace, Nagy, and Ted Phillips need to get the fuck out of Chicago. Let Pagano be the interim head coach. He's the only guy worth listening to. It's my opinion, and I have, nothing but the eye test telling me that Nagy's lost this locker room. You cannot convince me that there is a player on this defense or offense that listens to Nagy spew his shit and says, you know what, I believe in us. I believe in our team because these guys put us in the best situations and it's all about execution. Because it's not. We're an uphill battle from the whistle. Every snap is just demoralizing. Speaking of demoralizing, the Cupcake beat writers questioned Nagy after the game. They said, hey, is it demoralizing, not able to convert, not able to have an offense that puts up points, or in this case, didn't put up points until the fourth quarter? Is it, frustrating that the one time you have momentum in this game after a fake punt, you immediately have to call timeout because you don't know what you're doing and you're not ready to have your next play ready to go? And Nagy's answer is all bullshit, like always. He says, guys, you got to understand, these things happen across the league more than you may think. It's just, I think it's a little bit more magnified because of our situation. Dude, our situation, Nagy, is that you are a fraud. You're a fucking idiot. We got a play caller who takes points off the board left and right. First drive of the game. You have your head so far up your ass that you decide that on the 30-yard line in Titans territory, you're going to go 4th and 1. You're going to go for it. Not recognizing your personnel. The only guy that we have been lenient on and dependable on, except for our defense as a whole, the only guy that has bailed out Nagy in these last 3 games during this losing streak has been Cairo Santos. And it's been a breath of fresh air. He's been bailing out our offense, being able to put up 50-yard field goals. And we haven't had that in years. Yet we're on the 30-yard line, first drive of the game to open up, and he says, you know what? I'm a genius. I'm gonna run a gimmick play, and I'm gonna do a fake toss dive up the middle.
That was my favorite play of the game.
Let's see. Who are we running behind? We got Rashad Coward out there who looks like Mike Lazowski from Monsters, Inc. He's got peg legs that are thin as hell, and the second you get to his waist, he looks like a fucking bowling ball. He's a converted defensive tackle. He sucks. He hasn't even played the entire year, and I'm pretty sure he already owns all of the hurries, pressures, and whatnot for every offensive lineman in the league. Who else do we got? We got Alex Bars, our 3rd string guard. Not even playing guard. He's playing center because our 1st string and our 2nd string center are out. Who else do we got? We got Arlington Hambright. It's okay if you don't recognize that name. He is a 7th round rookie who played his first game today. We have Charles Leno, who sucks. We have Jermaine Ifedi, who's a 1st round pick that got cut in his rookie deal.
You said so many
because of how bad he was.
You said so many nice things about
Shut up. All right? But this is you. This is you, Nagy. 0-0. 0-0. First drive of the game, and you take all the wind out of our sails when we're on the 30-yard line. You decide to run behind that line. Kick a fucking field goal. You know what? But I'll end on this. This is Nagy. This is the genius that he fucking thinks he is. For 3.5 quarters, our leading rusher was a backup linebacker, Barcavius Mingo, on that fake punt. We can't do anything. And this guy here stands proud with his ego and says, no, I've looked at the options. We don't think my play calling is an issue. Nagy, I want to take that dumb visor and shove it down past your head into your neck and strangle the shit out of you. You are fucking awful. Fuck you.
Kinger, what do you think?
Wow. That was a lot of emotion from Barney there, and I feel for him, man. I really feel for him. Week in and week out, watching this Bears team just completely underperform, and just it's got to be frustrating. And I see it day in and day out from my Bears friends. And he's right though. Him breaking it down. I watched a good portion of the game today, but I was in and out mainly on Red Zone. Breaking it down like that, the Bears were in no position to succeed again with that offensive line, and nothing is going to change until that is addressed, and he continues to harp on it week in and week out. And once again, just fully exposed, and him to break down that play call like that, it's really something to see, and it does make you question Nagy and really his ability to lead that team right now.
Yeah, just really quick, I was expecting more hurry up offense from the Bears today, because if there's one thing to negate a defensive line, is to try to run hurry up offense, because then they get tired and the pass rush isn't as effective. So I didn't see that out of them either. I was expecting a little more out of it at least. Of course, they did in fourth quarter, a little too late.
Yeah, and I briefly touched on it with that. Where there's plenty of times to go hurry up, but I briefly touched on it. We're calling timeouts after a fake punt. Like, you don't have a play. We cross the 50-yard line. We cross midfield. We have this little spark of momentum, and he immediately calls timeout after we convert. Because in his words, he said, well, I didn't want to leave it up to chance and have maybe some personnel out there that weren't supposed to be out there, and I didn't want a 12th man issue, and I just wanted things to go perfect so that we can score. Well, what did we do? We went immediately, first down, run right up the middle, behind that awesome line that I talked about. That went for no gain. The second play, we did a pitch to Cordero Patterson. I think he got like 5 yards. And then the third play, we went right up the middle for another no gain. And it's just like we immediately had to punt. And it's you're talking about taking timeouts when we got momentum going, when we should be rolling with a hurry up offense, and you're trying to be perfect, yet you don't even understand our own team's strengths and weaknesses. The Titans are so bad at getting after the quarterback, yet we're finally in enemy territory, and we call up 3 run plays when we can't run the fucking ball. It kills me that he still thinks that he's not an issue. He is a we guy. Whenever anything bad happens, it's all, we got to look at things. We got to do this. He never puts the blame on himself. And he's just like, dude, I didn't go into this game knowing the line that we were trotting out there, okay? I didn't go into this game knowing that thinking we were going to win. I thought we were going to lose. But we beat ourselves. We don't let teams beat us. We beat ourselves every fucking game.
I feel the same way about my team, for what it's worth, Barney. I could share in your misery in that regard. Even if I'm not a Bears fan, at least I can connect with you on that level.
But I'll say this, now that I'm starting to cool down here. I want to get to what you said earlier about where we are, drafting, what our philosophy is. I mean, I think we got to get a quarterback in the room. Yeah, absolutely. But we're not going to be the first or second team picking in this draft. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd be shocked if Fields went outside of the top 3, personally.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
We're not in play for Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. We are in play for the BYU quarterback who looks like a stud. We are in play for maybe Trey Lance. I think all 4 of those guys are top 15 caliber. But for me, why would I want to bring in a quarterback here to just Mitch Trubisky the fuck out of him again? Because, like I said, we have dog shit in front of him, offensive line. We need to build through the line to even give ourselves, especially a young guy, a fighting chance. So if I were the guy in the war room, I wouldn't sniff at it unless Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence somehow fucking crashed down like Laramie Tunsil, with some game or draft day, bludgers. But I wouldn't take a 3rd or 4th best quarterback in a draft and trot him out in this fucking offense. Like, that's not going to help us at all.
So do you want another year with Nick Foles? Do you want another 8 games with Nick Foles?
Do I want another year? Dude, no. But I'm playing the fucking cards I'm dealt, dude.
Fair enough.
Like, we are so paced, but this is a pace
like
problem.
A true Viking
Pace
fan.
doesn't know how to form a team.
Is it fair to start having the conversation that Mitch might need to get another shot at the reins?
At this point, and our offensive line being this badly in shambles, honest to God, like, Nick Foles, like, he cowers away from a scramble and running past the line of scrimmage. And so for that reason, I don't think Mitch Trubisky solves any problems. I think it's an ugly offense. But hey, who knows? He might go off for 2 or 3 20-yard runs that sets us up for a field goal. Sure. With this makeup of our offense right now, seeing what we have, and with the fact that Foles' money for next year is largely based off performance this year. I think it's a smart move. You're right. Let's bring back Mitch. Not expect much, but hey, who knows? We might cross the 50 before fucking the fourth quarter when we're down 24-0.
Yep. Oh boy. I feel your pain a little bit, Barney. But the only difference between your team and mine today is that your team is still 5-4 and still has a shot at the playoffs. At least you got something to look forward to. The Lions, 2 games behind you, really looking really dim. Maybe they can make a huge run, but there's nothing suggesting that is
this upcoming game against Minnesota Monday night. It's gonna tell a lot about both of these teams.
Maybe.
Yeah,
the Bears and Vikings on Monday night. Is that game in Minnesota or in Chicago?
Dude,
I believe Chicago.
It's in Chicago. And Remy, I love you. This entire season has been an incredible experience watching you go from your highs to your lows to your peaks and your valleys. It's been great, but I don't know what you think about this game coming up or what kind of team that you think you are. But
it's
before
tough.
you try, but I will say,
can't win
if you think that this game is going to tell us something we already don't know, we are a playoff, in contention contender, first round elimination team right here. Okay, both of us. There is nothing about the Vikings, even on Dalvin Cook's best days, that make you guys a legitimate threat.
I would
if the Vikings can get the run
against
game going, they can control the clock in a playoff
CC
game.
last game against
Can they
Green
do
Bay.
that 3 games in a row?
I just want.
I'm just saying first round exit. That's all I'm saying.
Can the Vikings control the clock like that versus one of the top tier teams like let's
did it
just
2
say
weeks
like
ago
a Pat
against the Packers.
Yeah, in 30-mile-an-hour winds. All right, shut up. All right, I'm talking about after the first round bye, you got really good teams. When you break into that top
and
6,
which we
top
lost
8
by
teams,
1 point.
That's not
in Seattle. We match up well against really good teams.
And also throw in the fact that the Eagles might be one of these teams in the playoffs, or if the Cowboys somehow turn it around. But it's going to be one of those terrible NFC East teams.
The country is once again blessed in which the next 2 games that the Chicago Bears suit up for will be on national television. We got the Monday night game versus the Vikings next week, and then they're on the bye, and then they play Green Bay on a Sunday night as well. So once again, we get to watch that high-octane offense, that great play calling, just everybody gets to enjoy it. So we all have that to look forward to ahead.
Terrible.
If my memory serves me, and I would hate to have to go back to this tape here, but I'm pretty sure that really, really, really good quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, hasn't really had a really good game versus us in the last 2-3 years. So, let's watch our mouth with that offensive output, all right?
Well, we've got a few weeks, and we'll revisit this conversation again, Barney.
Fucked a lot of you.
And I can't believe he spoke ill of Charles Leno. That's what I was trying to say earlier, Barney. You've spoken so nicely of him in the past. It was surprising to hear you throw out his name.
So nicely, man. But let me say, this is the shit that I'm talking about when you keep having these conversations after the game, and where Nagy's giving you the real estate salesman answer, and he's saying, you know what, I don't question our efforts. I know everyone's giving their best effort and blah, blah. It's like, dude, no, you are the coach. You're the guy trotting everybody out. You need to question everybody's effort every day. You need to do that, because this is the difference. When there's a good coach like Pete Carroll who says, hey, we made a mistake. We spent a first-round draft pick on Jermaine Ifedi, and they cut him. At the end of his rookie deal, they said, yo, we don't even want to see if you can even develop. You are trash. And here we are, and we're like, you know what? Hey, I think this defensive tackle's, he kind of looks like he might be a better offensive lineman. Let's try him out. Give me a fucking break. We need to know our personnel, know our strengths and weaknesses before I can even start getting excited about playoffs.
All right. I think that's a good place to stop for our Week 9 wrap-up here. Again, the Packers moving to 6-2. The Lions fall to 3-5. The Vikings move up to 3-5, and the Bears 5-4. So a split for the division this week. We'll have a lot more to talk about as Week 10. So we're already halfway through the season. We're heading into the second half of the season here. There's going to be a lot happening here. Maybe nothing will change from our team's Barney, but it'll be. I'm at least interested to see what happens with the Vikings to see if they continue their hot streak here. Personally, that's me. Barney shaking his head, but that's me. But all right, let's wrap this up. So Instagram at the Pylon. Please follow us on there. Posting everything every day. Our best bets on Sundays as well, and on Thursday, any primetime game. And then please subscribe to our podcast on Apple. Please leave a review on there as well. Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, will be there as well. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, listen later in the week on Thursday for our Week 10 preview. So for the rest of the Pylon crew here, Big Z, Kinger, Barney, Remy, we'll be back later this week. Have a good weekend, or a good week ahead of you.
Bear down.